So what do you know? England do it. 27-10 against Argentina. A really gutsy performance, a smart performance against Argentina when they had 14 men for 60 minutes of that match. Argentina, they will be sick as dogs because this was probably their worst performance, in a World Cup for a long, long time, if ever. Sure, there was a bit of bounce of ball luck as well for England, but goodness me, they got their backs up. And it's interesting, something we're seeing about this English side already is when they go down a man, it does bring out the best in them. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves here and let's not get deluded. We didn't see any exciting running rugby or phases of play, and with 14 men you probably weren't ever going to. Were we going to see it with 15 men? Well, that is debatable, but they did what they had to do and they did it very, very well. And it builds a little bit of momentum, a bit of confidence. Of course, if England are going to go deep in this World Cup, we need to see an awful lot more. But let's take what we've got here. They've done the job in fantastic style. And it's probably put them through to a quarter-final. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I do think that should be the case. And let's go through this game in a bit of a narrative style because it was a narrative game. It was very much a story rather than exciting events. And to be fair to England, right from the off, we did see some massive defensive line speed, some big hits pushing Argentina back, and good early signs from the likes of Mitchell and Stewart settling into the game nicely. And then on 3 minutes, we do have the big event of the game, and let's talk about it because it is the scourge of the modern game. The high tackle, the head-on-head high tackle, the upright tackle, this time from Tom Curry. Malia, yes, he's landing from a height. Was it malicious? No, of course it wasn't. And they were discussing this at half-time in the TV studio. But I still think everyone's missing the point here. Players are coached to stay upright in the tackle as a valid way of tackling a player. Curry has done what pretty much everybody does at some point in a game, and at some point people are going to clash heads and people are going to get sent off. This time it was Curry. Do you feel sorry for him? Yeah, I do a bit because these players are coached to do that. And until World Rugby wakes up and realises that is the big problem, things aren't going to change. So either coaches decide it's not worth it and tell players to dip in every tackle, which they're perfectly capable of doing. Curry had plenty of time to do that. In the TV studio, they said there's nothing he could do. Well, yes, there is. Get low. And until that happens, this will happen at some point. Curry is, I say victim here, but it was his action. So that's the way I see it. I don't feel aggrieved because those are the rules. It's just this is the way rugby is still being coached. And I just don't know why people aren't talking about it. They're saying it's bad habits or these are accidents that happen. It's like, well, no, they are avoidable, but you have to tell coaches you cannot coach the stand-up tackle. Because if you do stand up, there are positives, which I've gone into. So it's an interesting one. But yeah, it was a red card. I think that's just how it is with the laws at the moment. So it was 0-3 from the penalty and the yellow card, which was then later upgraded to the red through the review bunker system. However, though, 5 minutes later, it's very clumsy from Argentina in the kick chase. Santi Carreras careers into forward after kicking the ball. Yeah, clumsy stuff. It's a bit like a Coldplay concert at the moment. I was writing there. It's all yellow at the moment. It's 3-3 from that penalty. He's off for a review. It doesn't look like it was going to be upgraded, and it wasn't. And then, yeah, the upgrade comes just after that. So then we have this situation where it's going to be at some point 15 versus 14 with Argentina with the extra man, but for a while it's 14 versus 14. And England's jackal was very strong in this game. Their ruck contest was very good, some good jackals, definitely. But their running attack isn't particularly good. They do give it a go. I think they send Marchant straight into Kremer, which seems a bit strange. So if it was 15 against 15, I'm not convinced we would have seen some great attacking shape, but we'll never know, I guess. Anyway, 17 minutes in, and we actually see Mitchell having a bit of an effect on this game. I like this game for Mitchell because it let him grow in confidence. That kind of backs against the wall, you've got to take the ball by the horns, etc. He broke a couple of times because England's shape was essentially non-existent because they'd been practicing with 15 players and they tried a few times to run an attacking shape and everyone was out of position. So Mitchell just kind of has to go off his own back, which I quite like, to be honest. Anyway, bad news for England. Like I said, at this point it's confirmed 60 minutes to play with a player down. On 20 minutes we actually see something quite interesting from Argentina. They get a penalty and it's a huge 50-22 as well just before that. they get a penalty and either they kick a goal or you tend to go for touch, but actually they go old school and do kind of a tap running play with a screen of 2 or 3 guys to try and run something. But England read it really well, and this time it's Laws with the pilfer in the jackal. So England defended really, really well, and they competed against the ball very, very well with that jackal. Now, England, they're just tackling like trains at the moment, yet they're not running any decent attack, and we have to let them off a bit, like I said. But you're thinking at this point the fatigue will tell at some point. And Argentina, they know this. They try to up the pace, take the quick line-outs, catch England short, but yet they just make error after error after error. On 25 minutes, the error is Mateo Carreras just kicking the ball straight out. The gifts that England were getting were ridiculous. It was like Christmas. Yeah, and they're running out of men. They're trying to run a few phases, but then Ford goes, well, stuff this. I've tried to run the phases. It's not happening. He drops in the pocket for the first of his drop goals, and goodness me, he kicked like an absolute dream tonight. Drop goals, long-range penalties, never looked like missing. Huge penalty kicks to touch. Just a game of the ages for George Ford. I mean, this situation suited Ford. It suited the old school players like Cole and Marler. So, yeah, everything just came together in this game. And to be honest here, Ford was the captain. Let's say it how it is. Laws led by example, but all the talking was done by Ford. You could see that. Now, the next phase of play kind of epitomises the game for both teams. Argentina holding an England player into the ruck, trying to milk a penalty for themselves, and the ref actually pings them, which doesn't tend to happen. I mean, technically correct, but doesn't tend to happen. Daly has a pop from 60 metres, and he had a couple of these and didn't get anywhere near. But one thing Joe Marchant does really, really well, he does it for Quins really well, is he follows up like an absolute beast from distance. He's forced tries before like that. But anyway, he forces an error, and then Ford again drops deep into the pocket, and this time bangs a 50-metre drop goal. Just phenomenal stuff. And yeah, when England are a man down, it just brings out the best in them. I don't know what it is. They need to do it with 15 men, of course, and play some nice rugby. But anyway, we'll take it. 30 minutes in, yet another snaffle from England off another Argentinian mistake. And England, their backs, they do blow probably their only and best opportunity of the game to actually score a try. They finally have a man over just because there was a mistake from Argentina, so they're in transition, and they just botch up the handling. I think it's Marchant to Daly to May. Just goes wrong. They could have been in there. So I'm thinking at this point, well, they're doing well, but surely they're going to run out of numbers at some point. Argentina are going to start to tighten the screw. And just before half-time, yes, they start to realise what they got to do. England are fanning early because they're a man down. So I like this. Argentina go through the middle with pick and goes because it's lightly defended. Drop goals are catching. Carreras goes for his, but he misses his, and that is the difference. Now, just before half-time, confidence is high with Ford, and he goes for extra distance with his touch kicks, and everything is working. A bit of a maul rumble. England don't have any numbers. I mean, so many times in this game, it was literally anybody near the ball getting the ruck. It's that sort of time where you're, a coaching an amateur level and just screaming at people, just get in the ruck, just secure that ball. So Ford drops in the pocket for a closer drop goal. So England go in 12-3 at half-time. Another note here that Manu Tuilagi's had to go in on the flank and done really well. He is a powerful guy, and England's scrum were getting the edge. They were down a forward, but with Tuilagi on the flank, they actually out-scrummaged Argentina, which was phenomenal. A lot of praise also to the front row. I think Cole did particularly well. And into the second half, what this scrum was doing, it was just getting a bit of a nudge. It wasn't getting the penalty because Argentina were actually doing fairly well and not splintering. They were just giving a bit of ground. But it just gives that nudge forward to give Bernal enough time to burst off the base, use his pace and make gain line. He had a really, really strong game in attack and defence over the ball. His best game for England easily. And yeah, Cole doing a really good job at tight head. His sort of game, because there were lots of breaks, so he wasn't getting run around the pitch, and Argentina weren't making him run around the pitch. And the ball is just breaking for England, to be honest. A lucky ricochet gives Ford another 3 points from a penalty, and of course he takes it 15-6. And goodness me, England are managing this game so well, and the bounce of the ball is going with them. One of those nights where everything goes your way, and just that adrenaline is running in the English defence. They're going beast mode. Tuolangi gets one of his old school trademarks, clobbers in midfield. It fires up the rest of the team. Goodness me, they're going to be exhausted tonight with all that adrenaline running in their veins. The defence marches Argentina back 15 metres. Brilliant line speed from England. Great tackling. Then they get the penalty, of course, 18-3. Laser straight kicks from forward just don't look like missing. And it just keeps getting worse and worse for Argentina. On 58 minutes, Itoje snaffles a bungled line out. Then in the scramble, England get another penalty, of course, and it's forward slots it, of course, 21-3. And that rabid defence is right there. More jackals from Ben Earl. Daly's taking these shots at goal from long range but misses again. But it just ticks down the clock. Argentina in the wrong area of the pitch and not controlling the ball. And even on a decent Argentinian scrum, you think the ref still has none of it and gives the penalty to England. Just, honestly, absolutely crazy stuff. Forward smashes a monster line-out touch finder, 50 metres, 5-metre maul. England go all in on the maul but get nowhere. Tuolangi just holds up in the carry, gives enough time, and Montoya blocks the clear out. Just a silly penalty, 24-3. I mean, it's just building and building and building. I mean, Argentina hearts must have been just sinking. Even though there's 20 minutes to go roughly, they know the game is up because they're just not getting anywhere. And the fans, you can see the fans have missed something to cheer for probably 2 years or so, and they're absolutely cheering everything. They're loving it. So can England build off this? Of the number of free kicks, penalties, knock-ons by Argentina must have been ridiculous. England winning the aerial ping-pong, Stewart doing really well. This is his strength. This sort of game really worked for him because Argentina weren't breaking through, testing him in defence or anything. Ben Earl, I made a note, was still sprinting flat out right at the end of the game. Amazing conditioning for him. There were questions of England's fitness. Had they got their fitness peak wrong? But in this game, 14 men, their fitness was outstanding. Law's outstanding. A lot of guys still are burning around the park, march and look really, really fit. Daly, to be fair, as well. Anyway, Argentina do get the try. That was kind of coming at some point. They just get in England's half, grind through phase after phase after phase after phase, and England aren't going to hold out forever. Bruni scores, so it finishes 27-10. What might have been for Argentina? They should have won that game. Of course they should. A man up for 60 minutes, absolutely criminal stuff, but just phenomenal play from England, playing the situation forward on absolute fire. Where can they go from here? Well, they've got to bottle that energy and then put it into some really, really good modern rugby in their next game. Can they do it? Let me know. Subscribe if you haven't already for following me through this World Cup because it's going to be exciting. Even games like this, which weren't flowing rugby, were really exciting. Anyway, comments below and I'll catch you next time.